Welcome to another video. I always think of going out to the leasing office to film these, but I end up doing it at home because it's just less effort to set up and stuff. I have my notes again for the video so that I don't miss the basic details. Let's start. So I'm going to talk about I-20, mostly the amount and the chronology, when to do what. The I-901 as well. The visa interview, probably I should make a separate video of it because it'll get unnecessarily long. So that's the objective of this video. First of all, just to define what the I-20 is, I'm just going to pop up my screen. Basically, Form I-20 is a certificate of eligibility for non-immigrant student status. So it's something that the college gives you to say that, hey, you are eligible for, essentially when you are coming as an F-1 student, you're a non-immigrant. So like while filling the visa, they'll ask you what visa you're filing for, and you're obviously a non-immigrant visa because you're going there to study and then you'll come back ideally. That's what the Form I-20 is. It is something that the college gives you to say that, hey, you're eligible to enter the United States as a part of the student and exchange visitor program, which is basically the SCVP or SEVIS. The system is SEVIS, the program is SCVP. That's the definition of I-20. You get it after you get the admit. So now the question is how to get your I-20. So after you get the admit letter, the college will email you asking for 2-3 documents, which would be your passport, which should be valid for 6 months or more. So if you're sending the passport, let's say in let's say August, then it shouldn't be just valid till December. So it has to be valid for more than 6 more months. Second, the financial summary form, which the college generally asks like how you're funding the entire program. So it could be like, let's say X amount, and you can say that, hey, I'm paying this part of X, let's say X by 2 by using myself or family savings, and then the other X by 2 using a loan or whatever. So it can be the split of 3. So you want to mention that this much amount is coming from the loan, this much amount is coming from parents, or let's say uncle or whatever. You can list down multiple relatives, by the way, just might come as a FAQ, but yes, you can list down like as many relatives as you want to. You can show multiple sources of funds. That's what. And the third is the actual proof. Basically, if you mentioned that I'm paying, let's say 30,000 using a loan, then the loan sanction letter, it has to be a sanction letter. It cannot be an email from the bank that, hey, you're conditionally approved. It has to be it cannot be a provisional sanction. It has to be a proper sanction letter. And if it's a savings, let's say you're showing that, let's say you're saying that my family is paying for it or I am paying for it, then you should put the balance confirmation certificate, technical term, but you go to the bank and say that, hey, I want a balance confirmation certificate. It's basically a snapshot of everything, of your FDs, of your savings, everything, because you, like, if you have to show to the college, how are you going to show? You can't take screenshots of your net banking and show it, or you can't put like multiple FDs. So you go to the bank, you say that, hey, just give me the total amount and how much I have in my savings account, including everything, and then you send it to the college side. So 3 things again, just to reiterate: passport, the form, the summary where you mention that A plus B plus C, and that's how I'm funding for it, and then the actual proof of those A plus B plus C. And that will be just you can take a picture of, like, you can scan the document which you'll get from the bank, or the sanction letter. Sanction letter will mostly be like digital. You merge those into a PDF and then you send it. So the financial proof is just a merge PDF task. Now, how much should you show? So when they mention the amount in that particular form, they generally ask for 1 year of your entire, I'm talking from a master's perspective. I'm not too sure how it works in undergrad, but I think it's 1 year. So it's essentially 1 year of living plus tuition. So the living is a little high because they include like books and supplies, and their estimated living cost is high. It's not going to be that much. So for example, off the top of my head, I think ASU quoted 56,000, 57,000 as the I-20 amount. But for 1 year, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take that much. It probably takes like 60% of that amount, because the living is like not anywhere close to what it's being quoted. So do not worry about that too much. Like, oh, is it like 56 into 2? Is the total cost going to be that much? That is just living plus tuition based on their estimate. the tuition will pretty much be the same, but the living will change. Anyway, so what you want to do is you probably want to show like 1.2 or 1.3. Honestly, people have shown 1.1. I think even I have shown 1.1. I didn't show up to 1.2x. And if it's a 1-year course, then the I-20 amount, for example, a friend of mine, he's going to CMU. That's a 1-year MISM program, so the cost, the I-20 is roughly north of 100k. I forgot the exact number. And in that case, you anyway do not have to show anything extra. You can show like the exact amount because it's anyway a 1-year course, so you don't need any surplus funds. But for a 2-year course, you might as well want to show some surplus funds. So my recommendation is probably just to show 1.2 to 1.5x. If it doesn't work, then the college will get back to you and say that, hey, I want to see more funds. You have to show more funds, and then it's not going to be a reject or anything. So nothing too stressful, not as stressful as like a visa interview, because a visa reject is a reject. But if your proof of funds is rejected by the college, you can again send it that, hey, let's say I want to show more funds of my, let's say my aunt has decided to give me an additional, let's say $30,000. So you can work with the college to figure that out. So it's not going to be like you send 1.1, it gets rejected, and then your American dream is shattered. It's not that brutal. Moving on, 55,000, let's say 55 to 60,000, they'll ask for it. You show that using your balance confirmation certificate or your loan sanction letter. If you have like property and all, then you probably need a CA evaluated certificate. I'm not too sure, I haven't done that, but that's what it is. The colleges generally advise not to show illiquid assets, for example, stocks and funds, mutual funds, index funds, all of that stuff. So it's better to show just liquid funds. But if you do get it valued by CA, it cannot be a report from your investment, let's say trading forum, and then you just put it in the financial proof form. It has to be valued by a chartered accountant. But it's probably the best to show liquid funds. Again, this is not an instructional video, it's an anecdotal video. I'm just telling what I did. I showed my own funds and my parents' funds for the I-20, so it was just a collation of a bunch of balance confirmation certificates of my account, my mom's account, my dad's account. I got a loan sanction later, but for the I-20 I did not show the loan sanction letter because the savings accounts were enough for that much amount, which was roughly, I think it was around 45 lakhs. I showed around 50 lakhs if I'm not too wrong. After you get the I-20, there's the next step is, so the service ID will be mentioned in the I-20. That is one of the most important things. So now I'm gonna just pop this up. The next part is you're paying the I-901 service fee. So this is the fee that you're paying for attending the SEVP program, let's say SEV program. So the I-901 service fee is mandatory and must be paid before you enter this United States. It's better to pay it before the visa interview as well, because they might ask for this receipt. So it's not like you can wait till you're departing on your flight. You should pay it right now after you get your I-20. It's $350, so I think it roughly translates to 29,000. That's how much I paid when I paid it. So once you have your I-20, the next step is I-901 and DS-160. DS-160 and I-901 has no connection in between each other, but they're both dependent on I-20. So because they both require the service ID. So DS160 is a standard form. DS160, again, I'll just pop this up. Yeah, so DS160 is just a non-immigrant visa application. It's not because you're a student you're doing it. It's just because you're applying for a non-immigrant visa, you have to do it. So DS160 has got nothing to do with the college. It has got to do with the US immigration. So that is separate, but it is dependent on I-20. So you can't do it before you have received your I-20, obviously. DS160 is a long form. There are a bunch of YouTube videos which are helpful in this, like if you want to fill it out. The only tricky question that I saw in the DS160, in the entire DS160 is what is the proof of funds? Like how are you funding it? Not proof, generally what is the source of funds rather. And there are like one option is self, one option is parent, so you can't select multiple. So what I did was I put self there because my savings were like a majority of the entire fee in my case. But if you're taking a loan, you should probably put parents because the loan is guaranteed by the parents. If you're taking it from Indian banks, let's say HDFC, that the co-guarantor is essentially your dad or your mom or your relatives. In that case, it's better to put like parents or relatives. But if you are the guarantor of the loan, let's say for any other institution you're taking it from, let's say Prodigy, then you should put it on self. So this is the only trick question. Probably just see on Reddit what other people are doing in your particular situation. Depends on the split of funds that you are showing. But that's the only trick question in the DS160. Apart from that, it's like very easy yes or no questions, basic questions. Takes about 30 to 40 minutes to fill the entire thing up. You can you should always copy, once you start the DS160 application, you should copy that number, because after you log in, let's say you could be logged out, or let's say you want to finish it on another day, so you'll need that particular DS160 application number to log in, so don't lose that. And until you have submitted it, you won't get an email. So basically that number is unique to your application, and if you do not complete the application in 30 days, I think it gets rejected. So once you start, just finish it off within 30 days, but like just finish it off that day or in the next day probably. That's it. So you have your DS160. There is no payment involved in the DS160. You have your I901, which is $350, and you have your I20. So these three documents, once you have, you are ready for booking your visa slot. The booking visa slot is, I'll probably move this to another video in the next part, but in order to book your visa slot, you'll need this DS160 confirmation number. So that becomes the third step. It is dependent on this. All right, that's pretty much it. Once you have these three documents, your DS160 confirmation, your I901 receipt, and your I20, you're pretty much okay to start looking for visa slots and create an account. I'll put this in the next video. I'll just film it now, but I'll make it in a separate part so that it's easier to watch. And yes, if you're watching this, then probably just check the next one for the visa interview process and my experience essentially. And I'll see you in the next one.